everyone, and welcome to the Mixing Glass. It's me, John, your host, and I am not alone. With me again is Mr. Michael Windsor.
You're never alone, John.
Oh, thanks. You know, that's why I have you, to keep picking me up when I'm feeling down. Look at this. How are you doing today?
Good. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you too. You know, I have big news. I finally finished physical therapy from the horrific kickball incident of 2024. So I can fully walk and jog like a 30-year-old, which is basically just walking fast. So
it's okay. That's an Olympic sport. So, I mean, you're an athlete.
Yeah, you didn't see me? I did breakdancing with
Come on.
The Australian lady. It was great.
Yeah, that really was great. I really loved that.
It was the best, worst thing I've ever seen. I'm so here for it.
Don't you say that, you critic, you chauvinist? What's wrong with you, man?
We're bartenders. We're critics of everybody. Whether we say it is our choice, but kind of our thing. But Mike, we have a guest with us on the show tonight. Did you know that?
Thank God. No, I was hoping, because otherwise this would just be, kind of, a little bit of dead air, honestly.
Yeah, it'll be the shortest podcast we've ever done, probably. Clock out at 5 minutes.
You and I could talk for a while, but we probably couldn't put it up on the internet. So,
well, no one would listen. And that's why we have a guest. So, joining us today is Sarah Karl. Sarah began her bartending career in downtown St. Augustine in 2014, building her industry experience with years of serving and a deepening passion for bartending. She fully immersed herself in the craft. Her love for bartending led to enhancing her skills in quality ingredients and advanced techniques, which she has continued to hone throughout her career. Following a COVID-related furlough in March of 2020, Sarah and her partner launched a food and beverage Instagram account to explore the changing food and beverage landscape. It wasn't long after that they decided to grow their business full-time. McKarl's Libations has since evolved into a thriving hospitality company. They are committed to delivering exceptional service and innovative cocktails, offering bar program consulting and fostering connections between consumers and brands. 3 years into their journey, and they still continue to experience significant growth, which is incredible. As their business continues to expand, they are excited about their ambitious plans for the future. Sarah is committed to making a meaningful impact in both their local community and the broader hospitality industry. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Welcome aboard. It's always the hardest when you hear your bio read aloud, I feel like.
It's a little cringeworthy, but it's only because we talked about earlier, talking about ourselves is really hard if we're not making fun of ourselves. So
I don't know. You had the word furlough in there, and that's like an SAT level word. That's great. I really enjoyed that.
That was like the word of 2020 besides COVID. You know what I mean?
No, I was an essential worker. I don't know what you mean. Okay.
Oh, wow, that makes one of us on this podcast. That's great. God damn it, Mike. All right, well, before we get too far off the rails, we like to do a little segment of our show called Roll for Initiative. Now, I know you have a little 20-sided app over there to roll some dice. So what number did we get?
So we got 2.
We got a 2. Oh, this is a tough one. The lower you roll, the stranger the questions are. So get ready.
I like that.
Would you rather fight 7 geese-sized horses or 1 horse-sized goose?
Man, that is a question. Holy cow.
At least I didn't ask you as a hot dog a sandwich, because
oh God. You need an hour just to dissect that.
Oh man. So we live in an HOA where there's just like geese everywhere, and you can't do anything about them. And they drive me crazy. So I think it would be more satisfying to fight the 7.
7 geese-sized horses. That's dangerous. They're kicking, they're biting. Oh, you're bold. I don't know if I could do it.
Yeah, I think so. I'd be down for the challenge. There's so much like pent up rage from living in this HOA. Let me tell you.
Well, everyone that lives in an HOA experiences that.
Does yours have like a bunch of geese in it though?
I know that this won't surprise you, but I am on the board for my HOA.
Oh my God.
Which makes me the villain.
You would be.
Of all time. Of course, like I said, this doesn't surprise you. So There are a couple geese that fly in, but we actually had to basically call animal control on somebody who had pet geese. Like,
oh, jeez.
You didn't. Okay, first of all, you didn't have to. You didn't have to, John.
You have to.
What was it? Is it the honking? Is that the problem?
No, they were so cute. They were like the white English geese, like the ones with like the really long necks that like are in like the movie Aristocats.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen that one. But legally you can't have them because of defecation stuff in ponds and
where the geese are supposed to be. Yeah, that's
crazy. Exactly, and that's the problem.
Don't you poop in your habitat, you stupid goose?
All it takes is one person to be upset by it, and then it goes.
That was you.
Then it goes. Oh, I didn't care. I thought they were great. My dog loved them.
I bet you drive around the neighborhood just looking for citations. I bet.
Yeah, you know me. That's definitely my job. I look for the trash bags out on people's porches. I just hope that you put a lawn gnome in your garden. Like, let's go.
Are you not allowed to have lawn gnomes?
I don't know.
Choose, right? I mean, you're on the board.
Yeah, you can't have them if you're there in your backyard and out of sight, but you can't put like them in your front yard. It's like the tacky like lawn ornaments. You can't have one of those giant pillars with like the tacky silver balls on it. Or
tacky is subjective. Sarah, I have a question.
That's
What's your strategy for fighting them?
Go for the neck, man. I mean, like that's the best way to take them out.
You're gonna be choking a bunch of little horses.
Oh, PETA's coming for us.
Just one at a time. It's like, you're next.
I mean, I think it'll be, yeah. I mean, not quite that. Maybe like take them out by the feet first and then figure out from there. But I definitely think that the neck is the way to go. For sure.
Mike, what would you do? You haven't been asked this question yet.
Yeah. So basically, would you rather fight 7 geese-sized horses or an ostrich? Is basically what you're saying.
Horse-sized goose, like an ostrich, like okay, I guess they're like what, human height? I'm not an expert.
No, they're big. They're big. All right,
they're big.
But like
they're not thick. Like
do I get a weapon?
Goose is coming at you.
Do I get a weapon at all?
Whatever you have on you.
Okay, well I've got.
So like if you carry like a pocket knife,
I carry a pocket knife. Okay,
because you live in Kansas.
Everybody should carry a pocket knife. You can use it all the time. Anyway. Normally with these questions, I go with the smaller things because like I'm just kicking. I'm just gonna start kicking and I'm gonna kick and kick and kick until there's but I think it'd be pretty epic to fight a big goose, and I would basically I'd bring that pocket knife out and be like, let's go, motherfucker. I'd try to slit its throat is what I would go for. As long as he has to bite me, they whack you with the wings and stuff too. Geese they're mean. They're assholes.
That's the craziest thing.
Some of them, though, my buddy has a farm, and this one goose, the loveliest goose you ever met. It was a friend of mine. When I would show up, it'd be like, honk, and it would just like come up and like let me like pet it and hug it. It was really, really sweet. So maybe I'd try and befriend it first, and then if that didn't work out, slit its throat. So.
Can you make that noise again?
What about you, John? You've had more time. If we roll this again, are you going to switch the animals?
No. This is Sarah. You're officially, I think, the third person who's answered this question. So
you've had a lot of time to think about this.
I have, and I think I've answered this, and I don't remember what I said last time. But I think I'm going for the 7 geese-sized horses as well, because
you're just kicking.
Geese are terrifying. Like. Yeah. I don't want anything to do with that. When I was a kid, I went fishing and like accidentally got one like hooked on a goose, and I was like 6 or 7, and it was traumatizing. So
and that's why you brought the complaint to the HOA. It was
great.
It was revenge.
All right, Mike, you're canceled. Sarah, let's talk about you. The real reason that we're all here today to talk about Sarah Karl. Sarah, we like to ask everybody, how did you get into the hospitality industry? What was your first taste of this that's kind of made you make this a career option for you?
Well, honestly, it goes way, way back. Both my parents were general and district managers for fast food chains in the 90s. So my parents were kind of always partnered up, general and district managers for Sonic, Checkers, and for Wendy's. So we always spent a lot of time there. And, back in the 90s, those kind of restaurants were some of the best, you know.
Yeah, they had the best toys. Remember the toys we used to get? Now they just get crap.
Crap. The food's not as good, you know, and the hospitality aspect isn't there like it used to be. But that's kind of the environment that I grew up in. And, you know, so just always kind of leaned more towards that. And right outside of high school when I graduated, I was a maid for a little bit, Molly maid.
Heck yeah.
Awful. And I wanted to work in a restaurant like downtown St. Augustine. It seemed cool. My neighbors had been working at Scarlett O'Hara's, so I went and applied there. Got the job as a server when I was 19, and kind of was just immediately fascinated with the bartenders because they were just, everybody wanted to be around them. They just demanded the room. There were 3 different bars at Scarlett's at the time, and they each had their own vibe. So it was very cool that you could be kind of in a different environment in every single bar in one building. It was really
Okay. So paint the picture a little bit of Scarlett O'Hara's, because it's not really there anymore. They closed their doors. What was that, 2021?
I
22?
think so. It did reopen. Somebody bought it. It's different.
It's different. So paint the picture of this first job you have as a servant. What does this bar look like? You know, like what kind of like drew you in to want to work there?
I guess just the environment. I don't know. So like it's actually 2 old buildings that were built in the 1800s that they kind of combined together to make it into this place. It still had it looks like a home on the outside. It's wooden, very kind of old school, a little rickety looking. But they have this outside bar. They called it the oyster bar because they used to have where you could get oysters there. It was like a horseshoe shaped with a couple of different tables, and you could watch sports out there. And then they had a whole porch, and then inside, it's kind of wild when you think about it.
That's why we're painting this picture.
Gone with the Wind themed.
Gone with the Wind.
Okay,
themed.
that makes sense now. Okay.
Why does that make sense, Mike? No.
The Scarlet.
Oh, okay.
Thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah. That went over my head.
Like old school fireplaces. There's a staircase that goes upstairs. There's a beautiful wooden bar. But there's like a giant picture of Clark Gable on one side and, you know, Vivian Lee on the other, Scarlett in
yeah, John. God. Culture, man.
I'm so sorry. I'm on the board of my HOA. I have no culture.
It's like a 3-hour movie. Have you guys ever seen Gone with the Wind?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, Mike, get some culture. I haven't seen it either.
No, is it on Hulu? I don't know. I can check it out.
I don't think it's on Hulu.
I've only seen clips. You know, like the big moments where they're twirling in the field. That's
in the field. The whole thing that broke like the world at the time was the first time they ever said "damn" in a movie. I don't give a damn.
No, I thought that was okay. Yeah, yeah. My apologies.
You were thinking Casablanca.
Casablanca, yes.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Gone with the Wind was pretty well known for that, and that was actually the slogan that they chose for Scarlett's, which was kind of hilarious because when people would have a bad experience and they would go and write a review, they'd be like,
Frankly,
"Well,
my dear,
don't give a damn," you know.
That's pretty good.
Like, wow, savage, way to turn it around.
That's the way to set yourself up for success. Yeah.
So how did you move from serving there into the bartending role?
Quite literally faked it until I made it. We were in a weird transition. So Scarlett's was owned by the same people who owned Rhett's Piano Bar at the time, which later was turned into Dos Gatos. And the general manager for Rhett's ended up becoming the general manager for Scarlett's, and he had never actually like worked at Scarlett's, and a lot of the team kind of just decided to leave that had been there for years. And Mumford Sons was coming into town, and it was a shit show. Like, you lost internet. It was way too big for St. Augustine at the time.
Yeah, what year is this?
2014.
2014. Yeah.
It's like when they were relevant for that short amount of time. Yeah.
But it was huge. It literally, I didn't have cell service. It was wild.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy to think about that. And I mean, it still happens every once in a while in large, like crowded areas, but a small town like St. Augustine, Florida, historic town, you have thousands of people come for a concert and all of a sudden you can't talk to anybody. It's back to 1990. Wild.
Systems weren't working because the internet was just crashing. Like we had to do the old school, the paper running over the credit card machine.
Oh yeah, the old knuckle busters.
Yeah. Experience. So yeah, the general manager was like, well, shit, everybody quit and we have to be staffed for this event. And he was like, Sarah, you've been here for a while now. Do you know how to bartend? I was like, oh yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
For sure. Can't handle it. And anytime somebody would order a drink, I'd be like, yeah, I can totally do that. I would go to my phone. I downloaded an app that gave you recipes.
Nice.
I would be like, cool, yeah, I'm just going to put your order in the computer. And then I would like look at the recipe and then make it and taste it. And if it tasted good, I'd be like, here you go.
That's actually pretty progressive for 2014. Like
really, that really is.
Like,
I didn't know I don't even know if I knew what an app was in 2014teen.
No, you did, but that was like the iPhone 2 era.
I've never had an iPhone. Yeah.
3. Like,
I think I had the touch, like the iPad or iPod touch.
yeah.
That looked like an iPhone. It could do everything, but I, just couldn't make phone calls. And I downloaded it on there and I was like, oh, this will be great.
So it was basically just a
Very
better
resourceful.
Zoom.
Yeah.
To date ourselves.
Like I hate Mac, but don't talk shit on the iPods. I've still got my iPod Classic. It's a good little machine.
Yeah, man.
Oh, I have another question about this origin story. What's your go-to drink at Sonic?
My go-to. Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't want to miss out on this question.
No, I have to know. Well, because Sonic's not all around the U.S. There are certain
Sure.
regions that don't have Sonic. So
Yeah, no, man. As a kid, it used to be the cherry limeade with extra cherries.
Yeah.
Like just classic, like cherries on the bottom, pour in the ice, pour in the cherry limeade, more cherries on top. That's how we would hide it from my parents because they'd be like, "Don't eat all the cherries. You put them at the bottom." Save them.
There you
That's
go.
a secret. Insider's tip.
The jerks who make my cherry limeades always put them at the bottom, and I have to like dump an ice on my face trying to get the cherry at the end.
Like you're drinking it too fast, man.
Okay, it's my fault. I got you.
Okay, so we're behind the bar at Scarlett's, and you're pulling up recipes on your phone. How did you start to make like that next step towards, like learning all of these recipes, mastering your craft? Like, how did you get there?
So we actually had the new owners that took over. They came from some of the bars in Jacksonville, like Shim Sham Room, Hoptinger. So they did a little bit more crafty stuff, and they wanted to bring that to St. Augustine. Dose wasn't quite open yet. They were still remodeling it, trying to get everything together there. So they were basically experimenting on cocktail concepts at Scarlett's. It's pretty smart. But it blew our minds. I mean, we had a bunch of younger, new people who were bartending, and we were learning about chartreuse and Fernet and egg white cocktails. And again, painting the picture of what Scarlett O'Hara's is, it's like a wooden house with Gone with the Wind themed up. And we're learning how to play with chartreuse and light orange peels on fire. It was groundbreaking for us. So yeah, just being able to get the recipes from them. And the only thing that was not super great is so Scarlett's is also right by Flagler College. And during college season, you can get like 3-4 deep behind that bar.
As college kids are wont to do. That's their thing. They flood the bars all at once as a giant mass.
They had like $3 3 olives and Tullamore Dew and then like $4 beers. So it was a great place to be. But then the girls would be like, make me something fun. And it would be like a muddled pineapple drink. This is before taking down the touches for your cocktails. It was like muddle oranges and pineapples. And it was
the era of fruit salad cocktails.
Yeah.
So how did you go from, learning all these skills and mastering your craft at Scarlett's to moving into more like beverage manager, beverage director roles? Because I know you didn't stay at Scarlett's forever, or, you wouldn't have the company you do today.
Yeah, no, I didn't. So I decided to leave Scarlett's once I kind of felt like I tapped out at everything there. I went to Barley Republic and I learned a lot more about whiskey and beer. They had beers from kind of all over, different styles. Hefeweizens was a really cool one that I got to learn about. And just the different styles of whiskey. Irish whiskey, obviously, barley is a little heavy more towards that. But interestingly enough, the craft cocktail side of things was pretty advanced there because Chris Faber, who used to be the beverage manager at the ice plant, was actually writing the cocktail menus at Barley Republic, and he was teaching us how he had like a Guinness reduction for a cocktail. And I was like, what? You can boil down Guinness and make it into a syrup? That's crazy. So I was there for a little bit. And again, once I kind of tapped out at that, I went to the ice plant. And I lost you guys.
No, we're here. I promise. She lost us, Mike. We're always here for each other.
Hey, my internet's working. I told you you're never alone.
That's true. You did build me up.
I see you. Okay.
You're back.
So yeah, I applied at the ice plant in 2019, late 2018, early 2019. Interviewed with Mike Doyle, and he was like, yeah, I knew Mike when he was working at Barley Republic. So it's kind of funny how that's all.
It's like it's a small town.
Yeah, it does have some small town feels. But yeah, I applied at the ice plant, and it just kind of really took off from there. It was a whole different level. It was very intimidating at first, honestly, because I was like, I don't know if I'm qualified to be here.
Yeah, but you said it best. Fake it till you make it.
That's true. And I continue to do that. You okay over there?
Too many cherry limeades.
I'm
getting the
I'm
ice
one of those
for the cherry limeade, and
I'm one of those people that I choke on my spit all the time. Like I don't know, like I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. That was terrible.
Mike, I've learned so much about you today.
Thank you, Sarah, for calling attention to that. I muted myself and everything, but you just couldn't let it go. That's fine.
She was worried about the guest. She's a martial art professional. Okay. Back on track. You're at the ice plant.
Yeah, so I'm at the ice plant. You go through a whole prep shift where you learn about how they juice everything fresh in bulk, which was insane because, like, again, going back to Scarlett's 3 deep, I'm hand squeezing lemons for cocktails, which was insane to me. And there's this giant Zoom X machine that's, juicing just gallons of fresh lemon, orange, and lime juice, which was pretty cool. But seeing how everybody comes up with these crazy creative syrups and combining these wild flavors. I remember when I first learned about pisco, I lost my mind because I was like, this is delicious. How does not everybody know about this?
Right, share the information because I used to be a bartender. I don't know anything about pisco.
Pisco, actually, you guys just posted something about this, which was pretty cool.
I did post. Mike doesn't have social media.
I don't do it. I don't do anything. I show up and I get drunk with a microphone in front of me. That's what I do here.
It's a good time, man.
But yeah, what is pisco? I want to know. I feel like I'm missing out now.
It's basically like a Peruvian brandy.
A what?
Like
is
a
that
brandy
English?
almost.
Yeah, it's a Peruvian unaged grape brandy that's distilled. Okay. So think cognac, but not as oaky, not as vanilla-y. And obviously it's crystal clear because it hasn't been aged. And it is super like rounded and sweet and has this amazing mouthfeel to it. It's like
mouthfeel. I love that. I'm not going to be able to find it at any bar in Pittsburgh, Kansas. I guarantee that, but I'll keep an eye out.
That might be true.
It is true. Trust me. I think I already told you when my buddies came. They ordered a Glenfiddich at one of the bars, and they served it to them in a solo cup with ice and a bendy straw.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I prefer to drink Glenfiddich.
Yeah, fair enough, right? They're onto something there.
Like that sounds like a good time. Glenfiddich's never going to give us money, Mike. So you're starting to really like hone your craft and learn a lot on the job at Ice Plant. And I know before we recorded, you eventually became the beverage manager there. So what was that growth period like? And like, how was it, working in a bar like that with this exponential potential around you?
So I actually was not the beverage manager at the Ice Plant. No, goodness, that's a lot to put on somebody. It's a hard job. Seriously. No, I was actually, I went back after COVID. I went and was the beverage manager at Barley Republic.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So, yes, loved Ice Plant. I worked Friday, Saturday, hot corners for what seemed like eternity, which is just like the busiest part of the bar. everybody who can't get a seat at the bar or a table goes to the hot corner and just pounds you with cocktails for like hours on end, especially on Friday and Saturday.
Can attest, it is the worst corner of a bar to work in.
I always chose the front bar though, because everybody wanted to go to the back bar, and Matt was like, "Send them to me. I got it."
I want to actually ask a question in general, and Mike, you can answer this one too. What is it about bars and restaurants that people always go to like the back of the restaurant, or if there's an upstairs, they immediately go upstairs? What is it about people that they just like don't want to be seen whenever they go to these bars and restaurants and go to these other spaces? Like, why?
I
Sarah?
thought he was talking to you. I'm so sorry.
I said
he allowed me to also answer this question. He gave me permission to have an opinion on this one, but ladies first, of course.
I don't really know, to be honest. I mean, I feel like you would have a pretty good idea.
Are you talking to me or him now? I'm confused.
John,
okay. No, screw John. He asked the question. It's the exclusivity. It's like what you got back there. What's going on? You know?
You think it's
like that's where the mob
factor?
That's where the mob boss sits. He doesn't sit up in the front of the restaurant where somebody could pop him through the window. He wants to sit in the back. He wants the upstairs spots, the exclusivity of it. Yeah.
I don't know. I've always found that to be like these like multi-level or like split concept type places that have multiple bars. Everybody always migrates as far away from the front entrance as possible.
Like I've seen all of this. What else do you have to offer? You know?
Yeah, no, that's fair. That does make sense.
I was just curious. So we know that COVID happened and you were furloughed.
Yes.
And you started an Instagram with your partner on food and beverage. So did you always intend for like something more to come from this, or is it more of just like an exploratory thing for you guys?
I think it was, I don't know. I think Matt definitely felt like it could be something bigger because like I love to cook and bake too. It's something that I pride myself in. I make everything from scratch. And I think that also, you know, goes hand in hand with why I do so well with cocktails is I've been able to pull more culinary into cocktail making. And be able to explore different flavors, definitely savory flavors. That's my favorite to put into cocktails. But yeah, during COVID, I mean, I remember sitting on the couch and just being like, are we going to be able to bartend anymore? Like, we don't know what the service industry is going to look like after this. And yeah, I started making bread. I started making homemade pasta, and Matt was like, you should document these things and put them on social media. We're not doing anything else. Like, why not? So we started doing that, posting that. And he was like, we could just showcase who we are. And he thought it was very cute to combine our two last names, McIntyre and Karl, making McKarl's. And it just kind of went from there. And once people started to really catch on to it and like what we were doing, requesting beverages, requesting food, we kind of thought that maybe this could be something pretty unique and pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. So you've done something that, you know, a lot of people, you know, do kind of as like a pastime, taking on these events, but you were able to take, you know, basically this like pastime hobby and turn it into a profession. So I really want to take your perspective on how do you elevate, you know, yourself from either the hobby perspective and then moving it into an actual career.
So that's something that, you know, we had talked about from the beginning too, because there are so many people who are doing this as a hobby. Like they're like, oh, I'm going to buy a cute little horse trailer and I'm going to redo it. And I'm going to make these very eccentric cocktails and hire me for your event. And there were so many things that were missing from that. We felt, for one, the hospitality. If you haven't worked in hospitality, that's the hardest thing about bartending or serving. Yeah, you can make a pretty drink, clearly, and redo a horse trailer, make it look great. But if you don't know how to handle guests and give them the best experience, then you're really missing the entire point of what you're supposed to be doing. So we wanted to be able to, especially, you know, post-COVID when a lot of people weren't going out, we wanted to bring that experience of the hospitality, food and beverage to somebody's house or event. And when we kind of realized that we were hearing, I don't want to say complaints, but kind of these people that like, yeah, everything looked great, but it's just like they couldn't keep up with the service, or like they were rude to my guests, and that just like the hospitality worker just blows your mind at that point. So yeah, I think it's I don't want to put down on anybody who wants to try to do something like that, but there's a big difference between having it as a hobby, something that you think would be fun, and actually being truly passionate about it.
Or taking that ability to turn a horse trailer into a mobile like bar and selling it to people who actually know how to run a bar. That's something else that you can do to make money as well.
Yeah, they could do that on the side instead, because I think, Sarah, you hit the nail on the head. Like, it's hospitality. It's not the service. I mean, it is the service industry, but it's not. It's the hospitality industry, right? How we make people feel, it's how we change it. And if you've never done this before, and you've never cut your teeth learning how to serve a guest, or, you know, deal with those challenging situations, it's really hard to bartend at a very personal event where all the guests know each other. It's not a random bar where they're all strangers. These are people's parties. It's their weddings. It's their office get-togethers.
And they can complain to everyone there if there's a problem.
Yeah,
and they will.
They will,
because I know they will.
Forever.
Now you might not come back. So like there is a whole nother level to this that like you have to take into perspective as a professional in the mobile bartending industry. So what were some of those early hurdles for you to kind of like figure things out, like get in the rhythm? Like what were some of those early challenges?
Oh man. Making sure that you had enough of everything, because you're like, oh, I got the sodas, and then you're like, did you grab Diet Coke? And you're like, fuck, I forgot the Diet Coke. And then for some reason, everybody at that event drinks Diet Coke and nobody wants regular Coke.
That's exactly how that goes.
Man. Yeah, your early hurdles, definitely just making sure that you're set up and not waiting till the last minute to get everything together. Like checklists are super important. And just having extras. It doesn't hurt. Always have extra.
Yeah, of course. So how did you go about like figuring out how much of like what you needed for these events? You know, like how did you start like gauging what the guest or the client actually really wanted you to provide for them? Because I think that that's the next level, right? After you figured out like the bare bones, how do you start to like intuit what needs to be done?
It's taken a lot of time to figure that kind of stuff out, because I mean, like the client doesn't know. They're not used to this, whereas like, you know, we do this on a regular basis. We always try to aim heavy, just because every time somebody says, oh, my family doesn't drink that much, it's a lie. Drink that much.
You want to think that your family doesn't drink that much. Yeah.
We had a group, and they said that their people did drink a lot. And we're like, okay, cool. And she's like, mostly tequila. And we're like, all right, there's going to be about 85 to 100 people. So, you know, 12 bottles of tequila should be pretty good, right?
Yeah, that's pretty good. You get what, 23 and a half shots out of a bottle for the most part. Like that's 12 times 23. That's enough to get people drunk.
Yeah.
Plus there's other liquor, beer and wine as well, and specialty cocktails. So like it shouldn't be that bad. About 2 hours before the end of the event, we ran out of tequila and we had to go get more. And I think we averaged 3 drinks per person per hour.
That sounds like a good party, honestly.
That's what we envisioned, because they're like, our people can drink, you know. We're like, okay, cool, 3 drinks per person per hour. And they did more than that, which was insane.
That's insane.
I mean, check your judgment at the horse trailer first of all, but
yeah, no. It really depends on. You just have to figure out how to go with the flow too. I mean, overcoming and adapting to any situation is kind of what you just got to be used to doing. We were at a lull point where I was like, Matt, you got to go grab more. You know, just being able to have that option on the fly. Yeah. I mean,
and to have somebody with you, like that's,
I think that's a
mistake. I think that's the mistake that a lot of people make when they do a lot of these, you know, like catering style events or hobbies or parties for people is that they think that they can do it by themselves because they see, oh, I can make this much money off of the event. It's going to go fine. Probably should get an extra set of hands to run errands, to help just talk to guests. That goes such a long way. If somebody's doing the doing, then somebody else needs to be doing the communicating, especially whenever you're trying to be like the party starter as the bar service.
So this is kind of meant as a joke, but it's not. Like, what's that service called? Drizzly, where you can order liquor. Have you ever had to use that instead of sending somebody away just to be able to order it, even though you're probably paying a premium on it?
We've actually had clients that have done that before, who have been like, we're just worried that we're going to run out. And they're like, or one of their guests wants something that they didn't get. So they just do Drizzly or like Uber and have it delivered or something like that.
It's actually pretty smart. I didn't even think about that, Mike. That's actually pretty ingenious.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a steep premium charge to get those things delivered.
Big time. I mean, I don't know. We don't have it out here, but I would imagine, it ain't cheap.
2 hours in, 3 drinks apiece. They're feeling good. They'll pay whatever. They don't care.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that.
They take 1 or 2 sips out of it, and then they don't touch the bottle against the rest of the event. They forgot about it.
No.
So those were some of like the early challenges. What are some of the things that you're starting to experience now that you continue to grow and get larger and start to take on more and more events? How has your problem solving changed over time?
I think that we try to predict the problems beforehand now. I think we're also just very thorough with our clients. We check in with them multiple times before the event just to make sure that nothing's changed. We have a contract too that like they have to report to us if the number of attendees has increased or decreased. If any big things that have changed for us. But yeah, we really try to predict the problems beforehand, especially if we have batch cocktails. It's just, we're planning for this amount, make sure we have extra. And honestly, the biggest thing that I do every single time now is I ask if the caterer is bringing water or if they need us to bring water, because for some reason they always forget about water. And I'm like, I don't want to, give people cocktails and then not have the ability to rehydrate.
Yeah, and it's not even just that. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I was just going to ask, what do you do for that? Do you just have like a self-serve water station, or do they still come up and get water from you?
We've done the no, like I try to be very transparent with them and be like, hey, if you want sodas and if you want tea or water, that's going to be on the side. I don't want somebody to have to come to the bar and deal with that when they could easily do it themselves. And honestly, it's just bottled water is the easiest because you don't have to worry about refilling it. Just keeping it chilled.
Yeah, I think like water, frozen or potable drinking water are the 2 hardest challenges of any sort of thing. We talked about this when Bobby was on the episode, our episode that just released before we started recording, but ice is a huge challenge, like especially for these events. Like you got to have enough ice, because if you run out, you can't make cold drinks. You can't put liquids into cold cups with ice. Like, like maybe you put a blender on the bar and all of a sudden you're blowing through ice and you didn't anticipate you needed an extra 20 pounds. Like
that's the thing too, especially when we like have new people work events, or if it's outside, the ice is going to melt a lot faster. So you're going to go through it a lot faster than you would if it was maybe inside, or if it was able to be contained in a better situation rather than a cooler that's also in like, Florida 100-degree weather with humidity just wreaking havoc everywhere. But yeah, with Bobby, I worked a few festivals with him and I can completely relate as well. You just never freaking know. And
you just never know.
It can be the most nerve-wracking thing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you listen to his episode, you really do know that you never know. You really do never know.
I didn't do it yet. I wanted to wait until I did mine before I listened to it.
It's a good. He tells a really good story on there that still I think would be an incredible prank for any chef or bartender. But
that's good.
I'll leave that up for you to decide.
So, Sarah, as somebody who created a business during basically COVID and has continued to grow it since, one of the biggest, factors that we've seen is this changing landscape of what the hospitality world looks like in that post-COVID environment. So what are your thoughts on how to, navigate, hospitality now moving forward?
I think it's just super important to reinvigorate people in hospitality. I'm not working at a bar or restaurant anymore, or at least on a regular basis if I'm not doing consulting. But I have friends who still are, and I'm a part of groups that can see it as well. And it's very disheartening to see people who are just kind of turning their back on hospitality, because it's something that's truly so special. It's an incredible environment to be a part of. And going back to pre-COVID in 2019 and really getting into making craft cocktails, I was able to attend so many happy hours and learn about so many different products that I just truly loved as a bartender, and being invigorated with these brands and being so excited to go and preach the backstory of these brands to our guests. Like, let me make you this margarita with this mezcal and tell you about the history of it. And like, look at these cool photos that I've got from, the brand rep that was here telling me all about it. It's so cool. So one of the things that we're trying to do is bring that back to not only service industry folks, but also like the consumers. I think there's a lot of consumers out there who have bartending almost as like a hobby, but they're like really into it and they're really fascinated by it. And we have one of our clients that we met through Browdy's. So we work with Browdy's Liquors, which is a local liquor store here. And he approached us because he wanted to do the same thing. He wanted to educate his clients or his customers about brands and let them know that like they could learn more about products if they really wanted to. So one of the guys that we met, his name is Charlie Graham, and he's a cardiologist. And we went to his house because we were planning like a cocktail party or a cocktail making class for his birthday party. And he was making homemade bitters. He had Liquid Intelligence, Meehan's Guide.
Yeah.
We were like, you don't need us to do this cocktail class, man. You could do this on your own. But
he needed your validation is what he needed.
He got it for sure. No, he's amazing. And it's so cool. Like the more stuff that we do with Browdy's, and we see that they really just want to have that connection with the brands.
On the story. Yeah.
So I think this is something that's really interesting. Looking at the hospitality world, you had a lot of people who couldn't go to bars and restaurants, like you mentioned, that started to take on bartending as a home hobby, right? Like they started making these bitters, they started making infusions, they started actually going through bartending books the same way that you would go through a cookbook, right? You mentioned making bread. Well, we already know how to make the drinks. We'll make the food stuff now. But these people at home are doing this. So like I've noticed this trend where in some occasions, my guests are actually better educated than some of my newer employees that I bring on. And it's creating this really interesting like dichotomy between the two of them that I don't think existed before COVID. Like, I think this is a new phenomenon in the industry.
People are just at home, not at work, drinking. And they're like, I wonder where this was made.
I mean, literally, you have so much time at home.
Well, I do love that because, especially with your guest and the experience that you're curating for them, being able to share the story, it makes it so much more personal, and it makes you start thinking about what you're actually serving your guest and the people that aren't even there, but the people that are helping to distill these different spirits or create these different parts of these cocktails. Your story kind of becomes a part of their story too. And then also it gives them this unique talking point too, that they, as they're schmoozing and see that, oh yeah, I love this cocktail. This is, well, let me tell you about how that, tequila is actually where it's from and how it's made. And, it gives people a little bit, more to connect over other than just enjoying the drink.
Exactly. I mean, hospitality is about bringing us all together, and the fact that we can do that, and not just circle it into the service industry, the way that we are able to incorporate it with people who are very enthusiastic about brands or products or cocktail beverages of any sort. I think that's really amazing. I've met some pretty incredible people, and I'm very thankful for it. Like, that's what it's all about.
No, 100%. And how are you finding ways to like instill that in your new employees? Like, how do you give them your passion, your excitement, your emotion, and like getting them to really like take that leap? Because that's, I think, the hardest part, right?
It is, especially since we don't have like a standard bar to like train people at, but it's bringing them to these really cool events, having them meet some of these brand reps. Like, you know, for our tasting company, obviously education is our biggest thing. Like, we try to take people who have been in the service industry, who understand these brands on a different level than just, you know, a pretty face that can support a brand. But we've even had, like, we had a meeting with Four Roses. We had the brand ambassador for North Florida come to a location where we all met up, and he was able to share his attachment to the brand. And now everybody we had like, I think it was like 18 or 20 people of ours come on their day off to this one location to hear this man speak about whiskey. And they were just like, oh my God, thank you so much. I've never experienced anything like this. And I'm like, that's what I missed from 2019 when I was doing stuff. Like, this is what I want for people to be able to attend. And we're trying to do that for even the clients of Browdy's or outside, to be able to come in and share this experience to people who want to learn about it, to hear about it. It shouldn't be something that's pigeonholed just for bartenders. It's an experience, and just trying to bring everybody together. So being able to place them in that environment, to have that awe moment, that's kind of what we do.
That's awesome.
God, I love that. That's truly the next step, is to getting them like that hands-on involvement and like just being enmeshed and like entrenched in like everything. Like, awesome. I'm so glad to hear that you're doing that, because like that's really cool. Not enough people are. So you guys are a local business right now. And one of the really big things, I think, for you, you know, talking before the show, is like supporting everybody else around you and looking at your local community. So how do you do that as a small business owner? How do you support other local businesses in the area?
So that's been something that's really cool that we've been able to do. Like I kind of already touched on, we work pretty intimately with Barry Browdy of Browdy's Liquors. He's been around in St. Augustine, or his family's company has been around since the 1930s or so. It goes back pretty far. But being able to work with him and give our opinion on kind of where the scene's going, and being able to navigate that with him, because he's also very locally connected. Like, he has different locations throughout St. Augustine and Jacksonville, and each location is it's so different from the next one. Like, he hires staff that know the people in that area, know what they like, and gets to know them. And that store is catered to the people in that area, which I think is amazing. Anytime he throws a big event, he looks at local charities that he can donate proceeds to in that particular community, which I think is awesome.
That is really cool. Yeah,
that
says a lot about anybody, but especially a business owner, where that's a focus of theirs. That's really, really cool.
Yeah. And he takes considerations from his guests, you know, and so working with him has been great. Also working with, you know, local charities as well. We just did one for Mason's Voice, and they came to us and they're like, look, we understand that, you know, what you guys do holds value, and, you know, we're not trying to diminish anything. We're looking for help. We need someone to help us with our bar program, and we just need somebody to kind of take this off of our plate. But like, we're a charity. We can't, you know, spend the prices that, you know, you have on your website or something like that. And we're like, okay, well, let's see what we can do to work with you. So we've had the opportunity to work with many local charities, and just to give a little bit of exposure on our side, but also be able to help take something off of their plate. Again, a little bit of hospitality, be like, don't worry about this. We got this. We'll handle it for you. So that's been something that's really nice too.
I think that's incredible. I think so many people don't realize that in the year 2024. Like, so many things have been automated where like you send an email off into the ether and you get a response back, right? So many people forget that you can just have a conversation with somebody and talk about, hey, I just want to do really cool stuff for my charity. Like, can we work together and do this? And you being open to doing that and creating these amazing opportunities, I think speaks volumes. And I truly encourage everybody out there to actually just start having phone calls with people, reach out to them. Like, don't just go to the contact at emails, unless you're contacting us at Bardtenders at contact@bartender.com.
Put your cell phone number up on the screen, John. Come on.
No. I did that for comedy. But no, truly, like, I think that that's awesome. And like, I know that, I'll speak for myself, but I can't wait to see how you guys continue to grow more local businesses in the area too, as you continue to expand your business. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And it gives you, it's the way you speak about it, of having the opportunity to work with a charity. People that don't have that charitable sense, that is not how they describe it. They don't describe it as having an opportunity. They describe it as something that they did, and, I agree, John, because as you guys continue to grow, you're going to have even more opportunities, and that's really, really cool.
Yeah, no, it's super exciting. And like getting more comfortable doing these sort of things. I mean, like, John, we've done a few 904 happy hour events too, like the festivals on such a large scale. And, I have visions for stuff like that in the future that can go towards kind of the hospitality group. There's definitely some big stuff on my mind that we're excited to be able to try to figure out how we can make it happen.
It just takes time, right? It's one step at a time, and getting the business moving forward.
For it,
Yeah. Okay, so you support local businesses, but I know you also like to gas up your homies.
Yes.
So how do you go and support the people around you, your colleagues, the people you've known for years? Like, what are some of the ways you're able to do that?
It's just showing up and being there, honestly. Even with, bartenders, like we love you, we appreciate you and what you do for the hospitality world. And so like when we can share something of yours, or, when we meet bartenders that are just getting into things, we're like, hey, check out this podcast and, read these.
Thank you.
It's awesome. So it's like, it is so cool. There's so many people that you meet in the hospitality world and the service industry, and they're doing really cool things now. Like when I started, I was in my 20s. Now I'm in my 30s, and everyone's growing up and they're like wanting to do really cool stuff. So just being able, and I appreciate all the, all of the support that we've received for our business from all of our friends and everything.
It's crazy. It's crazy that more people don't do that, because it doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost anything to, recommend somebody's business to somebody through word of mouth. It doesn't cost anything to tell somebody, hey, you're doing a great job. I love what you do. Man, that can just lift you right up and push you to the next level. It doesn't cost anything to like a post on social media. It doesn't cost anything to share a post on social media. Like,
it doesn't cost anything to leave 5 stars and 5 stars only, right?
Okay, I wasn't going there. But I'm saying,
sorry. I know you weren't. I'm sorry.
Mike, you're spicy today. Calm down.
I couldn't help myself.
Go drink a cherry limeade from Sonic. Cool off. But no, like, I think that's like the most important thing, because I think a lot of times we get lost seeing people's things and don't actually interact or react to them. And I think that's gassing up your homies, putting fuel in the tank. Like, just give them that love.
Give them that love. And it doesn't have to be on social media. Like, since we hired a social media manager for the business, I honestly am not on social media that much, because like I just can't mentally handle it. I get too wrapped up. But Matt is kind of the opposite of me, and he's always on social media, like posting things about everybody. And I'm like, yeah, my Facebook will be like, hey, Matt posted something, or he shared something. So I'll be like, yeah, go friend.
Go friend, do the thing.
I prefer like, oh, someone said something on Instagram or Facebook, and I text them instead of doing it on social media, because then I just don't want my phone to blow up that way. I'd rather just have a more intimate thing. And it's been hard as a business owner. You get so buried in work, honestly, just trying to keep up with, the day before. But we've been working on trying to make it apparent to reach out to the people who mean so much to us, even though we don't have the time to, make plans to be able to go and meet up. But it's like, hey, I'm thinking about you. How are you?
Yeah, I can't tell you how much a text or a phone call from somebody that you care about with no other context other than, hey, I was thinking about you. I just wanted to call and say hi, or wanted to text and say hi. It really just, it goes a really, really long way.
Yeah. One of the oh, go ahead.
No, this is just about you. You go.
No, one of the things that I was going to say is like, Camp Burnham Fall is happening right now. And I went 2 years ago, and I drove, and I was driving home from Kentucky, and I had a really bad rainstorm, and I actually crashed my car and totaled it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
And Kate Carpenter and Cody Mashney, who are also wonderful bartenders from Jacksonville, they were in Kentucky, and they drove together. And when they left, Kate was like, hey, let me know when you get here. She's like, it's a long drive by yourself. It's like almost 9 hours. She's like, I need you to like periodically let me know that you're okay. And it was probably an hour outside of Louisville when I crashed. And I called her, and I was like, I crashed. My car is totaled. I already know it. I don't know what to do. And she said, send me your location. We're turning around. We're coming to you. And her and Cody met me at the place where they towed my car. I pulled everything out because I knew that they were going to total it. And they let me like cry and say my goodbyes to my car.
Oh.
They took me home. They were there for me. And I reached out to Kate not too long ago just to be like, hey, I miss you. I'm thinking about you. I hope everything's good. And just to be able to, just to be able to do that, I think is important.
I think that's important. And I had I did the CAP program, the cocktail apprentice program last year, which Cody got to do this year, which is really cool. Here you mentioned.
I know.
So gotta love that. So shout out to Cody because he's amazing. But one of the leaders there gave us like a little snapshot of his morning routine, and he's like, I've been running the CAP program for years, like basically since its inception. And he's like, I've met all these bartenders from everywhere. He's like, part of my morning routine is that I wake up, make my cup of coffee, and I just send a text to somebody that I know is in the industry and go, hey, how's it going? Haven't seen you for a while. Hope your day's going well. You're awesome. Like little like messages like that. And I was like, that's such a cool, easy thing to do as part of your morning routine.
You can even like copy paste it,
Yeah, because that's sentimental. But like,
they don't know. They don't know.
Sure. Unless you like text them like every year on like close to the same date. That's the only time you talk. But like those birthday texts to friends. No, but truly, that's such an easy thing to do, is to just reach out to somebody, put fuel in the tank, gas up those homies, just like check in with them.
Yeah, especially now. I mean, it wasn't too long ago that you literally couldn't do that. I mean, your best option was like, this is, long before our time, but like literally having to send a telegram or a fucking pigeon to do that. I'm serious. And like now you can literally reach out, and it's weird because it feels like we're, more disconnected than ever before, even though we should be more connected than any time in history.
Yeah.
Fucking just text your friends. Just do that.
Just say hello.
Just say hello.
It doesn't have to be, you can literally like throw your phone and not, because that's kind of what I do. I'm like, hi, I missed you. I'm thinking of you. And then like, I don't text him back for like a week. And it's because I'm just awful and so busy. But I think it's important to be like, hey, I'm thinking of you. You crossed my mind. I just want to let you know that you matter. So
take the 10-15 seconds, send the text.
That's it.
That's all you gotta do.
But yeah, no, the homies are doing some really cool stuff. You just always have to be supportive. I mean, John, we're surrounded by so many people just in our tiny area of incredible people doing great things. And you're one of them, which is...
You're one of them. Take those compliments.
What about me? Why you guys just leave me out of the mix?
You're not in our corner of the world.
You didn't come to Florida?
No, it's all right. I'm not doing anything. It's okay.
I'll text you tomorrow morning, Mike.
Thank you. I need that.
Speaking of you.
Amazing. Sarah, we do have one last final question for you. We ask everybody this. What is your favorite shift you've ever worked?
You know, I've been binging Bardtenders, and like every time this question comes up, I always try to think about my response. And I'm a very indecisive person. I can never choose just one thing. So I won't. And
Perfect.
I'm just going to generalize my favorite times just behind the bar, or my experience behind the bars in general, are the shifts that are always the hardest. Like you got your ass kicked, people were rude, but then at the end of the night, and you're putting in your credit card tips and a mountain of receipts that seems like it's never going to go anywhere, and you still have a trashed bar to clean at like 3:00 in the morning, but you're able to sit down with a beer or a shot and just bitch about the night to your coworkers, but also reflect like, man, wasn't it so cool for those like 2 hours where like you didn't even have to ask for a refill of a bottle. I just like took that cap off and I was like, in my head, and we were able to just do that. I've been so fortunate to have those events at every bar I've worked at. Yeah. And those are the best, where you feel like you're never going to get through it, but you have the best coworkers that push you through it, and you're able to do it and look back and be like, man, we are badasses.
And those are the common threads that we talk about that like this industry shares. It doesn't matter what type of bar you work at. It doesn't matter where you work. It doesn't even have to be in this country. It could be anywhere in the world, but we do share those common bonds that we are with the people around us. We get through adversity, we come across this and, have these amazing memories that we get to keep constantly reflecting back on and like feel those good times. That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah, man, it truly is the best when you feel like when you were just getting your ass kicked and you don't want to be nice to anybody, but you have to because it's your job.
Yeah, it is.
They're pushing you through it, man. It's like nothing else. It's great.
I agree. Well, Sarah, thank you for being on the show. That was absolutely incredible. I know you have some shout outs because you do like to gas up your homies. So throw us some shout outs. What do you got for us?
Yeah.
Who should people check out? Who should they listen to? Who should they hang out with?
Yeah. So obviously John Mateer, Bardtenders, of course, Mike as well. You guys are doing great stuff. I love, the content that you're putting out there. It's great. Like I have transitioned from music to podcast, and now that I'm able to just plug away on podcasts, it's awesome. Gosh. Yeah, I mean, Barry Browdy's from Browdy's Liquor. He's been a great supporter for us. Our friend Amy Davis from Soul Squeeze. She's somebody that we've been partnering with, which you guys will see more about her. She's fantastic. My partner, obviously, Matt McIntyre. I could not be doing this without him. Oh man, I feel like I should have my list out in front of me.
It's okay. You forgot the most important one. You. Where can people find you, Sarah?
So my handle is at a period little period small. And then of course you can follow my business at McKarl's _ and see some of the cool stuff that we have going on. I've definitely been working in silence. So there's some cool things that will be happening in the next year or two. That's going to be great.
Heck yeah, that is super exciting. Mike, what do you got for us? You got a cool shout out for us today?
Yeah, so in the spirit of just reaching out to those people that mean something to you, I want to shout out a few people that I've met from the Bartender Ramp podcast. I'm not going to get everybody. Leo LaLarge, Chandler, Regina, Katie Rice, Jay Strinks, Jay Kuhn. There's more too. Sky. If I missed your name, I'm sorry. They don't even know I'm doing the show, by the way. But there's some people that some of them I've met in person. Most of them I haven't, but they are people that just every now and then we just send each other a meme. And we just met through, we've never even talked to each other, in person before or even on the phone, but they're just, they're friends of mine. They're friends of mine. And just every now and then they just reach out and we just laugh. Oh, fucking Kempo and Stevie. How could I forget them? And David Mulvar, who's coming to Kansas City here soon too. It's just been really cool. It's a cool, it's like you were talking at the very beginning, Sarah, about putting your life out there and having people reaching out and wanting, giving drink suggestions and wanting stuff. Social media has its pitfalls, but it is just such a cool thing at this day and age that we can find common connection with people across the world. JT, there's another shout out, but it's just really cool. It means a lot to me. It really does. It means a lot to me to have those people that I've never even met. They live on a different continent sometimes, but I feel a friendship with them and they mean a lot to me.
I mean, it's true. I was on your show. God, that feels like forever ago.
You know what? You weren't drinking. You weren't drinking then either.
I know that's crazy. Too. It was a lot of fun.
The business casual. And that lady pooping at somebody, which
what's crazy? Like, yeah, that's a crazy story, which we'll have to save that for another time. I haven't told that on this podcast, which is kind of wild. Welcome to Gainesville, Florida. Enough said. But like that drink, that drink doesn't really exist anymore because now there's amazing non-alcoholic spirits out there. Mm-hmm. Like Liars and Seedlip and
that drink still exists. That was a good drink. That was a good mix.
Delicious drink. Yeah. But now I don't have to make my own non-alcoholic vermouth anymore.
You should put it in a can.
I don't have to make it from scratch.
Put it in a can and sell it is what you need to do.
Non-alcoholic vermouth. Making your own non-alcoholic vermouth.
I was making my own non-alcoholic vermouth for this cocktail because they didn't exist on the market and I wanted to make a non-alcoholic Boulevardier. So I had to find a way to make all of these non-alcoholic ingredients with basically just your average kitchen supplies, right? So you use like black tea to create the tannins for like the whiskey that you would get from the barrel aging. And then you look at all the classic flavors in vermouth. So you have like some cinnamon, you have some anise, you have some annatto, you have like a little bit of like cardamom in there. So you're making like all of these like custom syrups and thinned out by black tea to recreate an actual cocktail with the same viscosity as you're drinking it, which is like
so cool.
Yeah, it's neat. It's neat stuff. But I didn't mean to talk about.
No, that's why he's top 10, ladies and gentlemen, in the world.
Okay.
Tell her the name of the cocktail. What was the name of the cocktail?
What, that drink?
Yeah.
Business Casual, because I wanted you to feel like you were out having a drink with your friends.
Yep, great name.
Business Casual, that you still haven't drink your glass.
Yeah, check out that episode on the Bartender Rant podcast. It's a good one.
But what I was trying to say was before we did this, I had done that episode with Mike, and he just kept sending me D&D memes all the time, like constantly, and it got to the point where
I still do it.
You still do it. You actually bombard me now. That's my fault. I'm a glutton for punishment.
They're good. They're funny. What's wrong with you? You're welcome.
I do laugh all the time now, which is really great. But he did that with enough frequency that we started to do more projects together and more projects together, and now we're doing the show together. So like, it's really cool to like see how just communicating with people basically helps grow into things you just never would think could happen otherwise. So
agreed.
That's neat. Okay, shout outs for me. I got one homie that I don't think I shout out often enough. His name's Ethan Thompson. He wrote the theme song for this show.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah. Jet Records.
And great job, Ethan, because it is a killer intro song. It really is.
It's awesome. It sets the vibe. Like I really love it.
The guitar that comes in after the electronic. That's what really does it for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I sent him like, I don't know, like 12 or 13 different things. I was like, oh, little this. And he goes, yeah, none of that. And he wrote the theme song for us. So love Ethan. So shout out to him for that. I can't thank him enough. So we love you, Ethan. Other shout outs. I do have a favorite podcast. It's called Bardtenders.
Bardtenders? I've never heard of it before.
Yeah, you're probably listening to it or watching it right now. You can check us out on social media at Bardtenders. You can head to our website at www.bardtender.com to check out some amazing resources for mental and physical wellness. You can check out our bards like Sarah and her partner Matt, who do really, really cool things, because at the end of the day, we like doing cool shit with cool people. You can check out those bards. They're all over the country. They're doing really awesome things, from doing mobile bartending to working events to throwing festivals to making pottery to being, shout out to Jessie Lane in the area. She makes lusty lighters that are not safe for work, bedazzled cigarette lighters. Mike, we probably have to get you on.
I'm in. I've got to see
really
it first.
cool stuff. And like, it's a really great way to grow people in this industry together. And then, of course, if you're one of those people that like to just send emails into the ether that I talked about,
yeah,
you can send us one at contact@bardtender.com.
Yeah, send us some good memes.
Yeah, send Mike some really good memes. I'm going to put him on the email thread now.
No, he's not. Trust me, he's not giving me any passwords. I've tried.
You're welcome. Someday our trust will be there, Mike.
Just got to keep sending the memes. That's all.
There it is. That's it. You never know.
Memes are the future, and with the collaboration of D&D with bartending, the memes are going to be fire.
It's real. It's real. Sarah, once again, thank you for coming on the show, taking the time to be with us today, and thank you for sharing your journey. I can't wait to see what you guys do next.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it was great. It was great to meet you. It's hard to jump in that, but yeah, thank you. It was great to meet you, and all the best of luck in everything you guys are continuing to do.
Thanks, man. When are you going to make it to Florida? You'll have to let us know.
Oh, I've got a warrant out in Florida, so I don't. No, I'm just kidding. I'll come down there eventually. But yeah,
Florida is like, you could do anything in Florida.
It's really true. Mike will be Florida man. He'll start popping up. Okay, we're clocking out. Let's
clock out, please.
See you next time.